Hello, I'm Rico Cavella. Welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging. And the title of today's episode, it's an interesting one for sure. It's called The Secrets to Radiant Health Begins in Your Kitchen Pantry. So
Mhm.
this is going to be real interesting. Okay, and our expert guest, her name is Suzanne Roth-Paul. She's a primal health coach and wellness advocate for those caught in the loop of information, overwhelm, and harmful addictive foods and products causing unnecessary suffering. So I think that's good enough. That's what we need to know about. So Suzanne Roth-Paul, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Rico. Nice to see you. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today.
Yeah, we're gonna really talk about how important the food is and all the toxins that you can get in your food and how that's causing you so much problems. And then we'll let people know about your coaching program, how you can help them work through all that and get the right food in their kitchen and
Yes.
eat the right healthy food so they can really greatly improve their overall health. So let's just start off. You say, my first question, you say the power of good health starts at a young age. What do you mean by that?
Well, because I'm doing this work as a result of my own messy, what's the word? My mess has now become my message because I suffered as a young girl all the way back to my mother's womb. She was a smoker, so that was the first thing that was a detox was a toxin. And then at the age of 2, I almost died. And so from that point on, we never really figured out what it was. But I'm just going to say that for the most part, whatever happened to me at age 2, which we think was probably a vaccine overload or vaccine poisoning, was
Yeah.
that from then on it messed up my hormones. And so I grew up in the South. And so I ended up not only having a hormone imbalance from at birth almost, I lived in agriculture. So I had all the spraying all around me. I had the herbicides, pesticides. I played in the fields. I was in the country. So that kind of was like the beginnings. And then all through my puberty and up until a young woman into my 40s, I was a hot mess and my hormones were a wreck. And the medical model was to just medicate. And so I did a fair amount of damage with my body from eating badly. I was also a sugar addict. I grew up in the South. My mother was a baker. I love sugar. And so sugar loves me. It's like it's an addiction. And so I really had a bad diet with way too many simple carbs and processed foods, but I was also a product of a gardening father. So I had a balance. So yes, it goes forward to where, when I discovered what all my reasons were, it basically was an old age. I was getting in my 40s, perimenopausal. Everybody was saying, oh, it's just your age. It wasn't that. We discovered in my late 40s, it was old toxins. And so
Yeah.
we go back and we talk about, now I enlighten people about what happened to me. And, I'm healthier at 60 now. So 20 years later than I ever was at 40.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. So it is so important to realize that, you know, one of the biggest factors is in all this chronic illness and that
Mhm.
people are experiencing today and becoming old and sick and dying way too young is because of the poor quality food and all the toxins that are in it. And I mean, you're a living example of that. So I
For
want to congratulate you for being able to work through that and do what you do now and get the right message out to people. So let's talk about how important the food that you actually eat, how important that it is. Let's just start with organic because, as we know, pesticides, as you know, all the pesticides and herbicides, they cause so much toxicity in our body, and a lot of them are carcinogenic. So talk just a little bit about what can you give, how can you inspire people to realize that they really need to eat organic, even if it costs a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity because really we don't have a choice anymore. When I started coaching 10 years ago, I really said be mindful, eat as much organic as you can, and read labels because I'm an ingredient reader. So the first thing that I teach people, and I have 2 ebooks, I have a free e-guide, it's called Power in Your Pantry. And so that's what I do. I wish that I'd had this when I was suffering so much in my 40s. Somebody tell me what to eat. And then it became, now tell me how to read ingredients. And so I created this free guide that everybody has access to get out the number one poison, which is industrial seed oils. And the reason why that's so toxic, Rico, is it's in everything. So all of your packaged products, your shelf goods, anything shelf stable has got a lot of preservatives and chemicals in it. And if it's not in an organic store, then forget it. You're even loaded more. And so we've also got this genetically modified food situation right now where these herbicides, pesticides, and these GMOs, well, the GMOs were created to be able to take on herbicides and pesticides. Well, they were basically like mutant creations that are actually they were tested to be harmful and cause cancer, but that whole information got squelched. And so the GMO industry exploded because of the yield. You could make more of it. So right now we have things that are not only genetically modified, but our lovely, well, I call them, I'm being facetious, but Bill Gates now has a product out that he created that puts a film over food. I don't know if you know about it. It's like a plastic residue that goes on vegetables and fruit, and you cannot wash it off, and it doesn't clean. So the skin is the most important part of fruits and vegetables because that's your fiber. Especially if you're eating a lot of fruit, you need the skin to balance the blood sugar spikes that it can cause. So that's the reason why now I tell everybody you have to eat organic, because if you don't pay for it now, you're going to pay for it later with extremely chronic disorders.
That's exactly right. I have a friend, a functional doctor, a functional medicine doctor here in San Diego, and he says, whenever I tell my patients that they need to eat organic and they say it costs too much, he says, "Really? Have you checked the cost of cancer lately?"
Exactly. Have you priced cancer? Because that's the problem with all of this. So we have this rampant autoimmune disorder happening. And I'm going to say I was an autoimmune disordered child with all of the issues that I had. It was just lumped together as an issue that nobody knew how to resolve. And so right now they're lumping everything into autoimmune disorder, and it's legitimate because it's rampant inflammation because we're full of toxins. But everybody has something different, Rico. You may be suffering from migraines. I may be suffering from gut issues. Somebody else may be having arthritis. It all manifests differently in each body depending on your history. So I'm already polluted when I was even born. So, or when I first was born. But I think what I try to explain to people in a very simple nutshell is that you are what you eat. You need to pay attention to what's at the end of your fork, because that's what's impacting your everything. That's impacting how you think. It's impacting how you feel, and that make those choices based on your body temple. And you need to, this is the only thing you have control of is your body right now, especially in this crazy world we're living in where we feel out of control. So if you vote with your dollar and you go spend a little bit more on these organics, we've watched the price of organic food go down considerably. We have all of these stores across the country now, across America, Walmart's, Costco, they are all catching up with the organic trend. Now, if you go into a store like Walmart, because I have to shop in them in the South when I go visit family, their area is like a 5 foot wide by 7 foot tall of organic, and the rest of the stuff isn't. And I like to ask, well, what is the rest of the stuff then if it's not organic? And it's basically poison. And so I do tell people that when I explain why it's so important to vote with your dollar and reading ingredients and buying products out there, Rico, they're coming out with more and more, delicious alternatives to wheat. But you got to be careful because wheat is one of the most sprayed and GMO'd foods in the country, in the world, and it's also one of the most harmful. So we have to know that it's causing leaky gut and wrecking your stomach, and especially if it's poison. So unless you're fermenting and making sourdough bread, you shouldn't be eating this bread. And you shouldn't be eating bread, period, even if it is organic, because it's made too quickly, and it's disrupting our microbiome because it's turning into to simple sugars, spiking our blood sugar, causing obesity. So I just ask people to think about buying less, buying more better quality, and it's going to also mitigate your weight issues, because if you're not buying all that stuff that is actually GMO'd, it's not organic, it's got chemicals and pesticides, and it's got all these things in it. Well, there's half your battle right there with your weight and your chronic issues. You take those out, then you're going to start noticing great improvement. And I've walked the talk because I had to do a year of cleansing, and it was the best year of my life because I got off of caffeine, I got off of sugar, I wasn't drinking alcohol, I wasn't eating processed foods, I was eating clean, organic protein and vegetables. And that's it. And you know what? all of my symptoms went away. The mental health issues, I suffer from anxiety and stress, pain, chronic pain. I mean, you talk about somebody who can really relate to symptoms. I had just about every symptom out there, except I didn't have a weight issue. And that's also a problem, Rico, because I'm thin. And if you have toxins in your body, guess where they store? In your fat cells. So if you've got your propensity for having like a little bit of weight around your middle, your thighs, your leg, different parts of your body, well, that's where the fat is storing. Well, for someone like myself who's thin, and there's a lot of us out there, it stores in our brain because our brain is the fattest part of our body if you're healthy. And so I was getting a lot of I have a lot of brain issues. I have to be careful, with the anxiety, stress, and or memory issues, fatigue, that sort of thing.
Yeah, a lot of people are dealing with that. That's a great story, and thank you for
Yeah.
that. I just want to add too. Here's what you need to know about toxins. We're talking about all the toxicity in your foods, but think about all the other toxins in our environment, and the air you breathe, and water, and just it's in our furniture, our building materials. There's so much toxins all around. So it's a cumulative effect. And so
Right.
what we need to do is the things that you do have more control over is the foods that you eat. So that's why it's so important to make sure you're eating clean and not eating and eating organic as well. A couple more, just last few questions is, uh, do you know how do you actually can test if you have a lot of toxins in your body? How do you test for that?
Well, there's a lot of expensive lab testing you can do. And if people want to spend that money, I certainly will recommend them. But I'm going to tell you the first thing you can do is starting to do the elimination diet. So there's the five dark horses, which are wheat, dairy, corn, sugar, and wheat, dairy, corn, sugar, and soy, because those are obviously all highly GMO'd, highly processed, and in everything. That's the first thing I tell people to do. And then we start to see in 2 to 3 weeks, they're feeling better. And then all of a sudden, a lot of those symptoms will abate. And then we can focus on just a few that you may have that we need to maybe get testing. So there's genetic testing, which is pretty inexpensive now on some key markers. Like we want to know if you've got the MTHFR gene, which I do, which means you don't methylate vitamin B, your proteins, which obviously affects your brain. But there's certain key testing that I would do, and heavy metals is one of them. And it's very simple. There's I think there's some stool testing, and then there's some urine testing. But I tell people, do my protocol. I have a 3-step regimen. Do that first, give it 3 to 6 months. And if we still need to do testing and move forward, then we're going to do that. But I'm going to tell you, I've got the solutions right now that's going to get you feeling better right away. And then you don't have to go spend, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of labs in a closet right here next to me that I'd spent over the course of 30 years. And basically, it just told me I have a lot of issues. Nobody had solutions. So I
Yeah.
suffered all those years. So now I'm saying minimally on the labs, but there are some heavy metal and non-metal testing we want to do. And then just to see where you are. And then that's going to prove to people, this is why you have to eat organic food. This is why you have to get off of alcohol. This is why, you've got to be mindful of the toxic, what you're putting in. Rico said this, your environment in your house is the air you breathe too in the home. What do you know what is a big problem right now? I could go on a rampage for all of these products like room
Oh,
deodorizing
yeah.
sprays. Oh my God. And I'm big on clean skincare. I only wear the best, makeup that I use that's clean. I clean the house with vinegar and water primarily. I use Bonner's soaps to wash there's so many great products, Rico. I get so excited and I get giddy. Instead of being depressed about what's out there, I get excited about solutions. I'm like, come on, come to my house. I can show you. And I do a lot of that with my Power in the Pantry ebook and free guide. I give you a lot. Here's my ebook, but it basically is all virtual, and I give you lots of solutions. So I
So
don't
we're
leave.
gonna put that. Yeah, we're gonna put that information. We're just about out of time. We're gonna put that information in the show description
Yeah.
of how you can go to Suzanne's website and you get that free ebook. And then also just
Sorry, Rico, it's a free e-guide, and in that's a coupon to get $10 off, and you get my 20-page very impactful ebook for $9.99. So really, it's really affordable for everybody. But thank you. Yeah, we'll get all those in there, that information in my website.
and you have a really important summit that's coming up in April. So we're gonna put that link on how people can check out your summit. But what's the name of your summit?
So the summit, Enrico's on this. We had a great interview and a lot of fun. It's called Secrets to Radiant Health, which is my business name. Secrets to Radiant Health Detox for Longevity Summit. And I'm going to tell you, it's not old age that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about old toxins in the body, with a lot of the speakers having their own stories and how they inspire you for what they've done. And we have solutions. It's a solution packed summit. Yeah. And it's going to be April 1st through the 4th, and we're right now we're doing all of the promo. And if you want to be a part of it, you can be on it. Enrico is going to have information he can share with you because he's a speaker, and then you can reach out to me directly by email, and we'll add you to the list of opportunities and it's free. That it's a free one, so it's really going to be
Very,
fun.
yeah, we'll put all that information in the show description. Well, Suzanne, thank you very much for being here. Thanks for all your great work that you're doing, and thanks to our audience for being here as well.
Thank
All
you,
right,
everybody. I
thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, bye.